Hello, everybody. Welcome to my channel. Today, I am going to explain an excellent Irish horror comedy film called Extraordinary. At the beginning of the film, we hear a narration by one paranormal expert called Vincent Dooley. Vincent says ghosts are all around us, most hauntings are so small that we fail to notice them. Like pens moving in a pen stand, movement of stones, shaking of dustbins, etc. Here Vincent was a paranormal expert, he used to make documentaries about the same. He was famous on TV with his program called Vincent Dooley's Investigating the Extraordinary. Rose, daughter of Vincent, used to work on this show as an assistant. Rose here had an unusual talent, she could see ghosts and communicate with them. She could even send them to the afterlife. When Rose was still young, she accidentally killed her father during one exorcism session. From then onwards she had left the job of ghost helping. Now Rose used to live alone, she had a driving school. A magpie bird used to hover over Rose's house every day, which was annoying Rose. People who were tormented by ghosts were calling her for consultation. She was ignoring them as she was not interested in that job anymore. People knew about her as she was famous in her childhood. Now Rose gets a call from one guy named Martin. Martin was fed up with his dead wife, Bonnie. Bonnie's ghost had been with him for the last 8 years, he could hear her voice. Bonnie was troubling him, controlling his choice, controlling his food throughout the day. Even after death, she was harassing her husband. Martin here had no choice but to obey her. Martin's daughter Sarah was also frustrated with her mom's ghost here. She finally gives an ultimatum to her dad. She tells her dad to get rid of her mom's ghost, or else she will run away from their house. Martin meets Rose in disguise as a car learner. He tells her all his problem. He was a good guy who was in real trouble. Rose here refuses to help as she doesn't want to take risk with anyone's life. But Rose here gets attracted to Martin as he was charming and sincere. On the other hand, we see a rock musician named Christian Winter who was giving an interview in his castle. Christian's debut album was a hit, which made him an overnight celebrity. After that one-hit album, the rest of all his albums were slam dunk. He was famous as a one-time wonder guy. He was financially broke. He was also a devil worshipper where he had kidnapped a young virgin girl. He was planning to sacrifice her to the devil for financial gains. His wife, Claudia, was a bit stupid, dumb, hot-headed and never listened to Christian's words. Now just for fun, Claudia interrupts Christian's ritual and kills the virgin girl. Christian wanted to sacrifice that girl on tomorrow's blood moon night, but now he no longer had a virgin girl. This rod was some sort of a virgin detecting tech from the past. LOL. Christian Divination Road brings him to Martin's store where Sarah was working part-time. He tricks Sarah there, takes some of her hair, and goes back to his castle. In the evening he does some satanic ritual with it, due to which Sarah starts floating in her house. Martin was shocked after seeing this, he thinks that this might be Bonnie's work. So in a panic, he calls Rose and begs her. Rose agrees to help him this time as she takes an old VCR cassette and a small TV set from her dad's room. She goes to Martin's house. At Martin's house, Rose shows him an old episode from her dad's TV show. There a goat was floating in mid-air. She calls it gloating. As in goat plus float equal to gloating. Anyway, Rose says this virgin goat is under the influence of a satanic spell. That's why it's floating. At the time of the blood moon, it will flow towards the person who has cast the spell. If someone awakens this goat in this state, then it will explode. On TV we see that goat getting exploded as someone awakens it. Here the total lunar eclipse was called a blood moon because at that time the color of the moon turns reddish. Rose here says that someone has cast a spell on Sarah, that's why she is floating. She casts a counter-holding spell on Sarah to prevent her from leaving this house. She also says that to get Rose completely out of that spell she needs ectoplasma of some ghosts. When the wandering ghosts leave this earth and go to the afterlife, they leave behind a substance called ectoplasma. By applying this substance on Sarah's face, one could truly free her. Here Martin too had the ability to hear and communicate with ghosts as he was hearing his dead wife's nonsense voice all day. Martin agreed to become a medium for ghosts. Christian and Claudia were waiting for Sarah's body outside Martin's house. But it was not coming. Christian comes to know about the holding spell, he hears Rose's explanation. He calls her a witch. He starts chasing Martin and Rose as they were about to go on a ghost hunting. Rose was receiving calls daily from many people who were tormented by ghosts or paranormal activities. This night she picked up one such call where one lady was complaining. Lady says, "My dustbin is making all sorts of noise without anybody touching it. It's making me scared." Rose examines that bin, the ghost of that lady's ex-husband who was living in that bin. She commands that ghost to possess Martin as he was the medium. Here we see Martin suddenly change into a possessed man. That ghost and this lady starts bickering again at each other. Later Rose sends that ghost into the afterlife by chanting some spells. Martin spews ectoplasma as the ghost leaves the body. Rose collects that substance in a bottle. It's disgusting, I mean really disgusting. Christian was observing all this silently from a distance. Next day he invites Rose to his castle. Again, in a disguise as a car learner. He needed Rose's hair to cast a spell on her. He had vehophobia, fear of driving. That's why he could not drive even after repeated encouragement from Rose. But here he collects Rose's hair by tricking her. Just as he did with Sarah. Rose was a fan of his song, she did not know his reality. At night Rose watches his dad's old videos, he was warning about something. She starts to lose her confidence. She narrates her history to Martin. One day she and her dad went to help a lady whose dog had died in a pothole. Vincent thought this was a small case, hence he asked Rose to handle it. Rose was still a child, she was not sure, she refused it, but Vincent was adamant. He makes her do it. She commands the dog's spirit into Vincent's body. But to her shock, there was another ghost. That ghost was now in Vincent's body too. Due to which Vincent starts behaving abnormally, he starts roaming around, making barking sounds. As a child, Rose forgot her incantation, Vincent stumbles in front of a moving truck. He gets crushed and dies. At that precise movement we hear a magpie bird chirping. Now Rose says to Martin, "I might not be the right person to remove Sarah's spell. I left this type of ghost haunting activities years ago. I even accidentally killed my father." Here Rose was really scared. Martin tries his best to pursue her, he advises her to forget her past and move on. To which Rose counters him, says he has not moved on with his dead wife, still taking orders from her like a scared man. Martin gets Rose's logic, he stops taking orders from Bonnie, he starts making his own choice. At night Rose's sister Sailor arrives at Martin's house. She was pregnant. She was here to keep an eye on Sarah as Rose and Martin were going out to collect ectoplasma from other ghosts. Christian at his castle was doing some sort of ritual to remove Rose's holding spell on Sarah. Martin and Sarah collect lots of ectoplasma from different ghosts. These ghosts were the relatives and friends of people who were calling Rose for help. Now Rose needed just one more ectoplasma. She commands Bonnie's spirit into Martin. Bonnie was furious as she didn't want to leave Martin. She starts arguing with Rose. Just then the holding spell on Sarah breaks, she starts moving while floating. She was going towards Christian's castle. Bonnie, who was possessing Martin at this point, curses Rose. At Martin's house, Sailor's boyfriend, Brain, was also there. Here we again see a magpie bird, it crash lands on Martin's doorstep. Rose interprets this as a sign, she asks everyone to follow that bird. Everybody was following that bird with Martin's car as Sarah was floating on the road. Christian and Claudia were also following Sarah, their car was just behind Sarah. Rose was in disbelief as she expected Christian to be a devil worshipper. Bonnie runs towards Christian, she attacks him, during their fight Martin's finger gets chopped off. Upon reaching the castle, Christian first kills his wife as she was too annoying. He makes the necessary preparation. Rose and the gang arrive at his castle too, but they were late. Christian opens a giant hole which sucks Sarah in. But after a few minutes, Sarah's body was thrown out that hole. We see a huge figure of Satan Lord Astaroth coming out of that hole. Astaroth says to Christian, "This is no virgin, you have betrayed me." By this point Bonnie had freed Martin from possession, for whom this was shocking news. He thought her as an innocent girl, but it turned out she was quite a naughty one. Astaroth was now aiming at Rose as she was the true virgin. This news was shocking as well as everybody thought otherwise. Astaroth starts to drag Rose in his hole. Rose asks Martin to be intimate with her on the floor as this would no longer make her a virgin. Martin agrees and does the job. Christian tries to stop them, Sarah kicks him into that well. Meanwhile, Sailor goes into labor and gives birth to a baby boy. Frustrated, Astaroth disappears with disappointment. The magpie bird was injured during this process. Rose thinks that there might be a ghost in it too. As otherwise, no bird could do what it did. She commands a ghost again into Martin. It was Vincent, Rose's dad. After his death he possessed the nearby bird, that's why on that day a magpie bird screamed. Vincent says sorry to Rose as it was his fault. He, being an adult, made a bad decision of allowing exorcism from a kid. It left a trauma on Rose which made her live in guilt and unhappiness. Vincent asks Rose to move on. Sailor here names her baby boy Vincent. Bonnie agrees to move into the afterlife. After 3 months, Martin proposes to Rose. They both start a new ghost hunting venture called Extraordinary. This is a movie that is both a first-rate rom-com and a first-rate horror movie and manages never to trip on its own ambitions. It is full of Irish wry wit and the efforts of lead actors are all endearing and outstanding in their roles. There are plenty of bloodsheds and comedic acts. This Irish supernatural comedy is definitely worth watching. Talking about why Christian's divination rod picked Sarah as a virgin. Well, it was 800 years old. At that time there was no concept of a gay or lesbian virgin. Intimacy was always between a man and woman. Sarah was a lesbian, she was not a virgin, hence old Rod still took her as a virgin. Astaroth kicked her out of the hole as he correctly sensed her mischief. I really enjoyed this film. I hope you do too. If you are new to the channel, then please subscribe and like. Thanks for watching. Take care.